Good morning, everyone. Welcome again. Welcome to another broadcast of Inspired by Kara. I am your host, Sue A. Webley. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm so glad that you're here joining us. I'm your host, Sue A. Webley. I'm the founder of Kara Solutions, LLC, which provides administrative business and consulting services to small business owners, social entrepreneurs, faith-based and community-based organizations. And Inspire is a weekly broadcast that was created to spotlight BIPOC entrepreneurs, influencers, and creatives on a mission to change their communities and the world. And so each week we get to take an intimate look into the lives of our guests as they share their stories with us. Today is International Alopecia Day. It's International Alopecia Day. And so I'm so excited and so appreciative that our guests this morning decided to join me. And so we're going to hear more about them as we get into it. We are live right now on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And so I invite you right now to share and also take this time to connect with us. Right now, we are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Kara Solutions LLC. We are on Twitter at Kara Solutions. And of course, you could always head over to our website at www.kara-solutions.com to find out all about Kara Solutions, all about Inspire, our services, our shop, everything you want to know is right there. So we invite you to connect, follow, like, subscribe. Connect, follow, like, subscribe. And I'm going to ask you again to share this broadcast this morning. Those of you who are joining us share it with your family, share it with your friends, share it with someone you know that you love that is experiencing and going through dealing with and is challenged with alopecia. I have no doubt that today's broadcast is going to serve as some inspiration for them. We also want to invite you, if you're catching it in the replay, or if you prefer to take it on the go, to take this broadcast on the go, after we go live, we will also be on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. We are on Inspired by Kara on all of those platforms, right? So you can listen later, right? You can listen later. So we do ask that you also follow us on those platforms as well. Also, Inspire Swag is here. Inspire Swag is here. It's live on the Kara-Solutions site. Remember that hyphen in between Kara and Solutions. We don't want to send you to the wrong websites, okay? So please support. I know you guys have been asking for Kara Swag, and so it is here. And next week Saturday, I will certainly have some Kara Swag. I will be wearing some for you to look at. But right now, I want to give a shout out to Nell Coleman of the Baldy Movement for my Baldy tee. I purchased this back in 2017, I believe. And yes, so if you want to know what it stands for, beauty and love. Oh God, I had it in my head. Let me go look at my notes, child. You know, I was trying to go off my head. So this is why I love beauty and love demonstrated in everything. Beauty and love demonstrated in everything. Okay, so thank you for my little baldy tea. So there's some news. You know, we got to do a little bit of news before we get started. So let's get into this week's news. So first up, Brittany Griner. Oh my God, I'm so heartbroken over this whole thing, this farce of a charge with Brittany Griner. She received a maximum sentence of 9 years in prison in Russia over drug smuggling charges. So drug smuggling charges for a vape pen, something that she is prescribed, is medically prescribed for her to have. And so I don't know what kind of message they're trying to send, but the U.S. Says that they're committed to bringing her home after she received that sentence. So certainly we are continuing to lift Brittany Griner in prayer, and we ask that justice be done in this case. Justice be done. Next up, some good news, right? Some semblance of justice. The officers that were involved in the shooting case where Breonna Taylor were arrested and federally charged, right? So we feel about the story. She was killed in 2020. She was a 26-year-old emergency medical technician, and she was shot and killed by police who carried out a nighttime no-knock warrant, right, to storm her home while she was sleeping with her boyfriend. And so, believing that they were intruders, her boyfriend fired one shot at the officers using a gun he legally owned, this firearm, and he shot at them. You know, if somebody's busting in my house in the middle of the night, I might think they're an intruder too, right? And so those officers responded by firing 22 bullets, killing Breonna with a shot to the chest. And so we're grateful for some semblance of justice that happened this week with those officers being charged, arrested, and federally charged. So we'll see if it sticks. So prayerfully, it will stick. Next up, we give honor to our risen ancestors, Nichelle Nichols and Mary Alice, two greats. Oh my goodness. So you know Nichelle Nichols, she was an actress, singer, and dancer, and she was best known for her portrayal of Nyota Uhura in Star Trek, right? In all of the film sequels. I remember when I was a little kid, I used to sneak. I used to sneak in the middle of the night back in the day, and I'm sure aging myself, but back in the day, they used to have Star Trek used to come on like midnight, and I knew everybody was sleeping. If my mom was watching, she probably is. She don't know about this. But I used to sneak in the middle of the night and get up and just to watch Star Trek, the original Star Trek. I'm not talking about the new ones, which I love. I'm a Trekkie, so I love all of them. But I used to get up and watch the original Star Trek at midnight. So, Mom, if you're watching, now you know, right? But Nichelle Nichols' portrayal of Uhura was groundbreaking for African American actresses on American television at the time. So I invite you, if you don't know anything about Nichelle Nichols, please go ahead and research her. Google University, YouTube University will bless your life. All right. Also, Mary Alice. And so she was also an American television, film, and stage actress. And she was known for, which is how I was introduced to her. Again, I'm aging myself, but you know, I don't mind aging myself, as Letty on the sitcom A Different World, right? And so she was also, back in the day, it's Effie Williams in 1976 in Sparkle, and she won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress for her recurring role on the series I'll Fly Away. She was also an established theatrical actress. And so we lift both of them up in their families. We lift them both up in their families during this time. And let's see, what else do we have in the news? Yes, Zahara Jolie Pitt is attending Spelman. Now, I don't know if anybody saw this video of Angelina Jolie trying to do the electric slide. I said, try. Baby, stick to acting. That's all I got to say. Don't quit it. Stick to acting and all the stuff that you do in the public square. Poor Angelina. But we're so happy that Zahara is going to Spelman. So, you know, we're excited for her and we congratulate her for going to Spelman. So let us get back. So that's our news for the week. If there's anything that I missed, I want you to shout it out in the comments. I want you to shout out in the comments. So, you know, I always ask, it's our time to ask what you're sipping on. What you sipping on this morning? What you sipping on this morning? You know, I always got coffee in my cup. So what do you have in your cup? I'm going to ask our guests too when they come on. If you want an inspiring mug, go to the website. That's all I got to say. All right. So, you know, I always got coffee in my cup. So shout out what you're sipping on. Is it water? Is it orange juice? Is it apple juice? Is it a smoothie? Is it something stronger than that? I ain't judging. And, I'm not judging you, right? If you got a little something stronger in your cup. Okay. So shout out what you are. Yes. I'm going to ask you. I see y'all. All right. What you sipping on? What you sipping on? Milk and turmeric. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Sabrina. Listen. I'm glad that you're here, because let me just go ahead and shout you out right now, because Sabrina is going to be joining us next week. The founder of I Was 16 Yesterday. So thank you for shouting out what you are sipping on. Milk and turmeric for her sciatica. And I did not know that was good for sciatica. So that is good to know. That's good to know. So yeah, as we go on, shout out what you are sipping on. Shout out what you're sipping on. So today is all about alopecia, right? Today, again, is International Alopecia Day. I know that Alopecia Awareness Month is coming up in September, but I wanted to, because this fell on a Saturday, I thought it was important for me, who a person who lives with alopecia. I thought it was important for us to kind of talk about it today. And so alopecia is an autoimmune disorder that causes your hair to come out. So for some individuals, it comes out in clumps, right? For some individuals, it just appears as bald spots. For some individuals, it's alopecia universalis. So it's loss of hair all over your entire body. Totalis is you lost all the hair on your head. There's so many different forms of alopecia. And so I was sharing with the guests earlier, and I could not remember the name of the one that I have, because it's a long name. It's the centrifugal citricical alopecia. That's what I have, on top of also traction alopecia. So we'll talk about more about our journeys as I bring the guests on. But so again, if you have or you love someone that has alopecia, please share this broadcast with them. Let's get into our guest introductions. Listen, this is what happens when you do everything yourself, because I totally forgot to put one of these overlays in, and that's all right, because we're putting it up right now so that we can do this introduction. How about that? All right, our first guest, Reverend Kelli Jareaux, who's the author of I Am at Work, Unleashing the Power of the Divine Self on the Job. She has been described as a blessing to God's kingdom and simply magnificent by the New York Times bestselling author and Emmy Award winner, Iyanla Vanzant. Reverend Kelli is a mystical activist and founder of the Grow Continuum Incorporated, a non-denominational church with the simple motto, live life and grow. I love that. I love that, Reverend Kelli. Live life and grow. Kelli received a Juris Doctorate degree from Georgetown University Law Center and her BA from Howard University in Washington, D.C., and was ordained through the Inner Visions Institute for Spiritual Development, where she serves as virtual instructor. Reverend Kelli is committed to evolution and transformation in the workplace and the world. And so let's say hi to Reverend Kelli.
Hi there, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves once we get everybody on the screen. Is that all right?
Understood.
Okay, all right. Our next guest is Carolyn Sims. She is the Senior Manager for Community and Climate Equity in the Customer Program and Services Division at Southern California Edison. In this role, Carolyn is responsible for leading both internal and external engagements with SCE's community partners focused on equity and access. Through this work, she has championed sponsorships for community organizations, and she educates underserved communities on SCE's programs and services that benefit their communities, focused on their lived experiences. Carolyn is a passionate advocate for women empowerment and leadership, earning a reputation as a master connector. I love that, for having helped connections for hundreds of women based on their personal needs or professional interests. She currently serves on the board of directors for the Bloom Again Foundation, which assists women with rapid response grants to help bridge the gap in their living expenses when they experience a medical situation. She is also on the committee of C-Suite, a professional women's networking group that fosters executive level relationships among women for business development, collaboration, and expanded career paths. And so we're going to get into a little bit more about Carolyn when we bring her on. So let's say good morning to Carolyn. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh my goodness. It's so good to have you both joining me this morning in honor of International Alopecia Day. And then can I just say, both of you are so gorgeous. You look good. You look good. I'm loving this pink, and Black women can do no wrong. That's all I got to say. Listen, we can do no wrong. That's all I got to say. And I see, Reverend Kelli, that you have your book behind you, and I know we're not going to get much into your book, but I do want to have you back to talk about your book, right? I do want to have you back to talk about your book. But today we are going to focus on alopecia. We're going to talk about alopecia today. So first up, what you sipping on? What you drinking on this morning? What's in your cup? Any one of you?
Well, in my own cup that I bought from Starbucks, and I used to have wonderful inspirational words written on it, but they have faded away, but they're still in my heart. I have a little coffee that I made myself.
Okay.
With my oat milk, and it used to have some oat milk whipped cream, which is now melted into the coffee.
Oat milk whipped cream. I have to try that. I love oat milk, by the way, but I've never seen the oat milk whipped cream. So I definitely need to try that. Thank you so much. What do you have in your cup, Carolyn?
I have me a little lemon, ginger, little tea happening here.
Yes. Yes.
Of everything.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Listen. We have to affirm ourselves, right? Too often we look for validation and affirmation in other people and the other things, but we have to learn how to affirm ourselves. So let's talk a little bit.
I want to thank my team for this, though. They sent this to me.
Oh, thank you, team, for sending that cup.
Team.
Yes,
the cup. Okay, I thought you meant the tea.
No, the cup.
And I also love some lemon ginger tea as well. I usually do it with a little bit of honey.
I've recently discovered that I can put tea inside of my Keurig, and so that has been just awesome because I'm cutting back on my coffee because of those extras, because of the whipped cream.
Well, listen, having tea will definitely cut that caloric intake down when you change. But yeah, some of us like the coffee black, and some of us like a little bit of extra in it. So yeah. So I'm gonna do my 1 cup a day with my little almond milk creamer in it. My mom is drinking ginger tea with aloe vera juice. Good morning, Mom.
Good morning, Mom.
Thank you for joining.
I love that name, Joy.
Yes. That name runs on my mom's side of the family. And she also loves dandelion tea, which is a really good substitute. If you're trying to cut down on coffee, Reverend Kelli, that's a good substitute.
Okay.
Dandelion root tea is a
dandelion root tea. In fact, I think I may have some of that.
Yeah.
That I purchased from Smile a while back, but I haven't tried it yet.
So that's a really good substitute. So let's get into it. Carolyn, let's begin with you. And I'm beginning with you because you're just 2 months in, right?
Yes.
To living your best life in this way, living your best bald life, right? So can you tell us a little bit about your alopecia journey, and then we'll go to Reverend Kelli.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. First, I want to say just thank you. I'm so honored to just be a part of this International Alopecia Day event. It's like, this is awesome. So, thank you for including me in this. So, my journey started back when I was like 23, 24 years old. I remember I was at the beautician getting my hair done, and I had all this beautiful, long, full hair, like all throughout high school. And I remember there was even this joke at one time, like when the curl was out, I had enough nerve to get a curl. It was so big. The joke was like I was Diana Ross. It was just beautiful. I took it absolutely for granted. And
Mm.
then my best friend was a beautician. And so I would kind of be her model and she would try different things on me. And so eventually, styles change and now Nita Baker is out. So we all want the Nita Baker haircut,
Mhm.
and hairstyle. So we cut the hair off. My dad was very upset. I'm from the South and it was all about hair. Cut the hair off, and then I started cutting it even shorter, like really
Mhm.
short. And I was getting my hair done one day by a different beautician. And she just mentioned to me, she was like, "Hey, you're kind of thinning in the top." I didn't really think anything of it. Unfortunately for me, I felt like it was just something that I was doing. I
Mhm.
would perm my hair all the time. So you're supposed to do it once a month or whatever. I was probably doing it every 2 weeks or whatever.
Mhm.
So I thought it had something to do with that. Didn't really do much with it. And then as the years continued on, it just got bigger and bigger. I really didn't follow up because again, I just thought it was just something that was happening. And I remember at age 35, that's when I really noticed that, wow, I need to do something here. I went to Bosley and, they kind of looked at it, wanted to charge me some crazy amount and have me sit under something. I'm like, I'm not going to do all of that. So I
Yeah.
started wearing wigs. And so it was all about the different types, trying to find some that looked, natural and kind of going through that whole process and journey. Then fast forward, I'm like 45 or so, and now I'm really starting to say, okay, I need to do something here. And I went back to Bosley, and basically they just like the lady kind of took me into the room and had me fill out all this paper. Doctor came in and he just kind of looked at it, touched it, and was like, nothing I can do. He turned around and walked out. And
Wow.
she was kind of like looking, and I just told her, I said, I appreciate him not just taking my money and giving me false hope. And so then at that point, I just accepted, okay, it's just going to be, I'm just going to wear wigs. When
Mhm.
I turned 53 on my birthday 2 months ago, so that's how the 2 months journey started. Um, I just was sitting in quiet time one day and I kind of heard this voice. My mother lost her battle with breast cancer at 53 and I was turning 53. And what I heard that actually gave me chills was this message that I lost my life at 53 and you're going to gain yours at 53.
Mm.
When I sat in that and really thought about it, everything in my life that I didn't like or that I was afraid to do, I was like, this is the moment, this is the time, I have to change now. And so at that moment, I told the world, I took pictures. I actually put the 3 different styles, so bald, short, long, and just kind of put it out there and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what
Yeah.
it is. I'm going to live my authentic life. And depending on how I feel, I may show up bald. I may show up with short hair. I may show up with long hair. It's my choice, and
Mhm.
that's how I'm gonna own it. And so for me, that was really freeing because at home, I would always cover my head up, and I didn't like the way I looked. And so for me to put it out there in a photo and to tell everyone and actually own it has been so freeing. And that's the way I'm living the rest of my life going forward.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There's so many similarities in my own story, which I'll share a little bit of after we hear from Reverend Kelly. Thank you so much for sharing, Carolyn. Reverend Kelly, can you tell us about your alopecia journey?
I'm going to call it my alopecia adventure
Okay.
because journey feels heavy and hard to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not in that space with it. Um, so, in my mind, when I was answering the question, when did this begin? And I thought it was at 16, but my most vivid story must start earlier than that because I was too young to go to the doctor alone. And I can remember going to the doctor with my father, and the doctor saying, because that's when I just had areata, and now I have the universalis, but the doctor saying that he could give me shots or he could give me cream. And I was like, I knew enough to know what a shot was. I was like, give me the cream. And he was like, well, the shots will make it grow back a lot faster. And my dad was like, go ahead. I'll be right here. It's not going to hurt. And the doctor was like, oh, no, it's going to hurt. And I like to hear my dad tell that story. My dad has passed now. And so that is a bonding moment that I hold on to with him. And so that's a part of this adventure. And then it went away, and it's come and gone and come and gone. And when my dad passed in 2015, that was the first time that I had experienced full loss of my hair, with the exception of a wee little bit that I had get cut off. And that was a moment, you know, I realized that so much of my struggle was trying to save something that did not want to be saved. And part of my spiritual journey is to align with what God is doing in my life. So if God is doing no hair, why am I totally focused and completely distracted and energetically bound up in what you said about your mom, a battle to save my hair? My hair clearly wanted to go. And fortunately, in my spiritual journey, there are women, and there are women who cut off all of their hair to go into initiation. And I started to understand that this was, in a sense, an initiation. So we can put whatever medical term we want to put on it, but it's about something. And then I just became very curious as to what it was about, and started really rolling with it, like, oh, let's find out more about this. And I don't want to eat up the mic, so I'll rest it there, and you can hear more as we go along.
Oh my goodness. Thank you both for sharing. Reverend Kelli, you just gave us a whole word. And I wish that I know for me, I wish I had arrived there sooner.
Yes.
That, the releasing of a thing that doesn't the releasing of a thing that doesn't want to stay, right? That is not supposed to be there for whatever reason. That release is what it helps us walk into our authentic selves. And I wish that I had gotten there a whole lot sooner. I think I would have saved myself a whole lot of heartache and heartbreak, right? Perhaps my period of mourning for losing my hair, because it is a loss. So we mourn it, right? When we think about loss, we often think about, we losing a loved one, but whatever the loss is, we mourn losses. And I grieved over the loss of my hair, right? I was sharing with you both before we went live, the notion, of course it says in the Bible, a woman's hair is her crown and glory. And so is my glory gone? Am I losing my glory because my crown is going away? Am I losing who I am as a person? Am I losing my femininity? These are all of the things that I felt, right? When my hair was at first thinning, and then when I finally had to say, yes, Sue, this is not getting any better. And I know you shared, Carolyn, about going to the doctor and the doctor saying, that there's nothing to be done. And I had that same experience, right? When the thinning was getting to be too much, and I went to the doctor. And he was just so abrasive.
Yeah. And
I waited for an hour. I had made the appointment. I waited out there for an hour. I was already anxious as it was. But I was like, okay, yeah, I heard about hair treatments. I know there's something they can do. It's a dermatologist. but it happened to be a white doctor. And when I finally went into the room, he looked at my head. He said, "Oh, you're a Black woman. This is what happens. There's nothing I can do."
What?
Yes.
Wow. Yep.
This is what happens to Black women.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. No trying to figure it out. No looking at my scalp. No, none of that. This is what happens to Black women. There's nothing I can do. And I left that dermatologist's office just crushed.
Yeah.
Crushed.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that is, since you shared that's what they said to you, that there's nothing they could do. I know that this is the experience for so many of us, of Black women who are losing their hair. And it's not always because of traction. It's not always because we've permed our hair too much or we've colored our hair too much. We've done too many hairstyles. It's not always because we've manipulated, because that is the misconception. And that's what, and so I'm going to ask, that's one of the questions I was going to ask, what do you believe are some of the common misconceptions? And I know one of them is that we lose our hair because we manipulate we don't allow our hair to grow out in its natural state, right? And that's why we lose our hair. Well, nobody thinks that it's an autoimmune disease. Go ahead, Reverend Kelly.
I don't think that this is solely a disease of Black females. I know it's also a disease of Black males because I've seen them with it. But I recently met for the first time a white female that told me that she had alopecia. So I think that is one misconception, that it is just us. I think it is shared among all of the different races.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely is. But I'm a Black woman, so I'm going to speak from a Black woman's experience.
I'm just surprised at how ignorant the doctor was.
Yes.
To say what he said to you, because that sort of framed it as this happens to Black women only, as opposed to that. I can't. That response floors me. Yeah. But so you raised one of the common misconceptions is that it only happens to Black women. What are some others? Carolyn, what are some common misconceptions?
Yeah, so as I kind of think about it, some of the misconceptions, right, is that it's not a disease. It is a disease. I think sometimes when with stress or having stress in the life, they think, oh, it's caused by stress. And once you relieve the stress, it can come back. So everyone's experience is different. So that could be true for one person. But to your point, when you kind of open up and you were describing, Sue, the type of alopecia you have, there's so many different kinds.
Right.
And as I'm now going through this process and learning a little bit more and understanding and taking more control over understanding, because I think for me that was part of what I didn't do. I allowed the doctor to say that there was nothing to do and I accepted it. And just like with any disease, we have to push, we have to continue to do research and check into it and see what else that we can do. And so while I fully accept now and I kind of presented it here, one of the things that I am doing because of the love and support is checking in on a couple of other things, because now I realize the type that I thought I had, that's not the type that I have. It's not alopecia areata. I have alopecia scarring, and that's completely different. And that goes into the potential of lupus and other things. So now I'm pursuing that from a health perspective, but that's it. So the misconception is that, is just something that maybe it's just a thinning or stress is causing it, but it is a disease that has to be, checked into, treated, and just like anything else. So that's one of the misconceptions that I realized, and that there's so many different versions.
Yes, thank you so much. So both of you alluded to, and I know Reverend Kelly did first, about the support. So the support system, and can you each tell us a little bit about the support system and how important it is to have a support system in place for someone who is challenged with losing their hair? So we'll begin with Reverend Kelli and then Caroline. Carolyn.
I had a support system in place before I lost my hair, and I had an internal support system in place before I lost my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that having those two pieces in your life are important no matter what you are going through.
Mm-hmm.
You should always have a way of manipulating yourself, leveraging yourself,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can withstand whatever comes.
Yes.
And so there's always going to be something around that next corner, whether it is losing in at the time that this second time that I lost all my hair, my mother had just died of pancreatic cancer after having had it for a little bit over a year.
Mm-hmm.
My significant other of 17 years had been diagnosed with stage 4 dementia and left the house and went away and living elsewhere. And so it's like a life completely turned over.
Mm-hmm.
And then the loss of all my hair, which a lot of times when you say to people, and I lost all my hair, which I clump that with those other things because it's a big thing.
Yeah.
But people don't receive it as a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really don't sit with the level of trauma that the experience brings. And so for me, it was more my internal work that supported me. So
Right.
I read, I listened to inspiring music, I meditated, I was curious to see what this meant. I examined my own capacity to surrender and release. And so I think that having your internal is for me my best support. And I have a very loving partner that has been with me on this journey throughout, not the person I just mentioned, who is just beautiful and has supported me. And of course, my family, my sister, who used to do my hair when I was little. And they always talked about how, hey, you all will know this. Oh, you've got a gorgeous kitchen. Your kitchen is so pretty. And one of those people who, whether I'm fat or skinny, in any given moment, my hair was always beautiful. And I can remember my partner putting her hand in my hair when we first started seeing each other, saying, "Your hair is so gorgeous." And thinking, is she still going to think I'm gorgeous now? So, and the answer is yes. She loves me just the same. And that is a support, because we need to hear that. Even the horrible people who used to give you the unwanted attention, you even need that. Those were even a support. The guy who comes to the house and is supposed to be putting in the cable, but hits on you, just reinforcing the fact that you're beautiful. And so I look around me and receive all of the love that is available, no matter how it's packaged, because I know that is God saying, you are not alone in on this adventure. I'm with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Reverend Kelli. Carolyn?
Yeah, so for me, my support system, since it is hereditary in my family, I do have other family members who have this condition. And so we would talk about it, share a little bit, and I'm learning more and more, as I've come out. So just knowing that I wasn't alone, even within my family, that was helpful. My family very supportive. My daughters, oh my gosh, I have the best daughters. Like they constantly teach me, right? So it's like I'm the mom, but they teach me how to be bold and how to be free. And for years they've been telling me, Mom, like be who you are and do this, but I wasn't ready. So I think for me, as I was kind of, going through my process, my internal journey, I mean, we all kind of mention about, the appearance. So you have so many things, like you look at ads, right? So it's all about a woman's her hair, and that defines beauty, and with the makeup and all of those things. And so I had to go through the process. I have a really good friend at work who reminds me of this all the time, and I always say that it's like whatever you're going through, you have to go through it.
Yeah.
And so that's a great way to look at things. It's like, it's here to teach me something. I have to go through it.
Yeah.
And then my background is in human resources. And I think about that journey. So all about diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging. I've done that for years. I do a lot of that work within the company, and then externally with the community-based organization engagements that I do, and reaching out to people and connecting people and doing all of these things. And I always talk about the LGBTQ inclusion and what that means and how they can bring their authentic self. But I never thought about it for me from the perspective of showing up like this.
Wow, that's good.
My true authentic self, right? So it's like, how can I speak and be an advocate? And it's like, hey, this is a safe space. We can come talk. We can do all these things, push for diversity and equity for our underrepresented and underserved communities, when I couldn't even show up as myself. So once I said, I had to go through the journey, again, this great support of my daughters, and then just accept it. And once I did put it out there, what I decided to do when I shared the journey and talk about the support I received is I did a Facebook birthday fundraiser. That's when I put the images out there, and that's when I said, this is my journey. And I asked people to please donate to the Bloom Again Foundation, who helps women who lives at the poverty level.
Right.
So no, it wasn't connected to alopecia. I wanted people to help these women who are struggling, who are going through a medical emergency, and they need help.
Yes.
So as I'm putting my story out, I made a call to say, make a donation so that we can help these women who are going through a medical emergency. And the support that I received, oh my gosh. That's when I know. I mean, I've always known God is real. He's always shown up in my life. He's always shown me everything. And I just allow him to use me the way he sees fit. And for me, that was the journey that was so freeing, that I could tell other people, I could show them. I received so many messages from people who have been suffering in silence, wanted to understand how to do this. And I remember, like, I don't know, about 10 or 15 years ago, I was thinking, at some point, I got to come out and I got to do something. It's like, there are other women out there I know like this. And I know there was a female that I worked with, and we would share stories. And I don't remember how we end up getting to the point to where we knew this about each other, but we learned it about each other, and then we would support each other. And I was like, I got to do it for her. She's not ready to do it, but I got to do it for her. I got to do it for the person who is afraid. And you know what? It's free. I'm going to do it. So great support. The company supported me so well. There were so many executives who reached out to me, who supported the fundraiser, who gave money. When my announcement went out, when I got the new position, that's the photo that we use.
Yeah.
So I am grateful that I have this experience, and I want to use this, right? I believe in paying it forward. How can I use this to help other people when they're ready to come out, or if they're not? That's okay. It's what you want to do.
That's right.
How can I help you? So please let me know how I can help.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. I just I remember, even when I came out as a Baldy, right? And I did the same thing you did, Carolyn. I put it out on social media because, that would help keep me honest with it, right? And I'm like, if I'm going to release this, I'm going to release it to the world, right? And I shared my story on social media, and posted a picture of my freshly shaved head, and no makeup, no hair, no makeup. Just took a shot in the bathroom and put it out there, and the flood of comments, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because I was afraid. I was feeling really anxious about it.
Yep.
And I just the flood of comments that I received just had me in tears. But it wasn't the comments, it was the inbox messages that I received from so many women saying thank you.
Yes.
Right? Thank you for showing me that it is possible. Right? You know, because you're living in your truth. And, you know, part of my apprehension was because, you know, I'm clergy, right? So at the time I was a minister, and, you know, one of my, again, the woman's hair is her crown and glory. But of course, some denominations are like, you have to keep your head covered and this and that and the other. So I'm like, what am I look like? Is, you know, this big black ball minister? What is that going to look like? You know, are people going to take me seriously if I'm rocking this bald head? And I found that I was actually more relatable, right? I wasn't as intimidating. Right. And that's something to be said about living in your truth. When you live in your truth, when you walk authentically, I always tell people that it is an affront to the divine when you do not live your authentic self, when you do not walk in your authenticity. It is an affront. It's an affront to God, because God did not create us to blend in and be like everyone else, right? We are unique.
He's gonna push you there. If you don't live your authentic self, he will push you there. My friend sent this book when I came out, Moments of Focus, and what I love is she said, Carolyn, I see your sunshine. Live in your sunshine. And the sunshine is SON, shine. Jesus sunshine through and I was like, oh, that's it right there. And she sent this to me, and I started going through the book, and I was like, that's it. Because when I'm not living my true authentic self, things kept coming up in my life that was pushing me to where I was supposed to be, to what I was supposed to do, to who I am supposed to be. And I kept pushing back and resisting. And now that I'm here in it, oh my gosh, it's just so amazing. So each day is a brand new day to live. We never get this day again. So we have to live to our fullest, and you have to do everything that you are called to do in this day. There will never be another August 6, 2022. Gotta live it fully today.
Yes, live it fully today. Oh my goodness. You have a comment, Reverend Kelly?
I do. When my son was a little boy, he's a grown man now, a person in our spiritual community said to me, he'll leave that hair, because he had hair that came down, you know how the little boys do, over his head. And she said, he'll leave that hair over his head and it will bother you, but leave it alone, because it's supposed to be there covering that third eye. And so now he has it off. And he and I were both just talking about this yesterday, because he remembered that happening too. And what I think may be happening in the world is an uncovering of the third eye, because people are hiding. Many people are hiding behind their hair. And so this is an opportunity for you to stop hiding, be truly seen, and release the energy of that crown chakra and the third eye and throat into the world. And that is really a heightening of spiritual power. So I heard these women, and I think I told you this, Sue, talking about how the hair was the antenna connecting them with spirit. And the more hair they had, the more connected they were. But what I would say is that's a training wheel. And when you don't need training wheels anymore, you can open up and have that direct connection. So I would encourage people to allow themselves to be connected in that way, because the divine is calling them. And it's a calling. It's an initiation, and it's a calling.
Wow.
That's right. That's right.
This conversation has just been so rich. I want to invite those of you who are watching, if you have a question, go ahead and post it, right? We're winding down in a minute, but go ahead and post your question and your comments. Let us know that you're here with us, that you are engaged. We've been busy talking, and I usually check in before now. But yeah, go ahead and post your questions or comments as we continue with having this conversation. about walking in our authenticity, in our power.
Yes.
Wow. I feel so good. I'm just incredibly blessed that both of you said yes to this, because I needed this conversation. So there is a video clip on social media, and I think everybody has seen this by now, and it shows a reporter talking to Rihanna, right? And basically asks, what do you do on the days that you don't feel confident? And even though I have been rocking my baldy since 2015, since December 24th, 2015 was the day that I embraced my bald self, there are days that I don't feel confident in my baldness, right? There are days where I'm worried about, oh, you can still see, my scalp discoloration, the areas that hair still grows, right? So, in those places, this discoloration, oh, my head is not smooth, even though people, it's like, oh, you have the perfect head. Well, until you see me in person, you don't see all the little nooks and crannies. I call it what was it, the Thomas's English muffins. I tease myself all the time, but yeah. So, but I'm always like, not always, but there are days where I'm just like concerned about, oh, people are going to be looking at it. People are going to see that my head is discolored, that it's not a perfect shape. There are days where I don't feel the most confident with my baldness, and so are there times where you don't feel confident? And if you have those times, what do you say to yourself? What are some of the things that you say to yourself to get you going? So I'll start with Carolyn.
So for me, I did struggle with this, and I don't want to come off sounding cocky, but I think because of, and I know we kind of talked about the word journey and the heaviness of it, but it was a journey for me because at points it was heavy. It was heavy. But now that I've kind of gone through it and used those lived experiences, and I've accepted that this is my calling and this is what I need to do. When I have those moments, if I feel like that, I just have to sit down and just reflect and remind myself, read through my gratitude journal. And one thing I realized for me, fear was my biggest fear, right? So it was me that was holding myself back. And one day I just went out and, it's like I just did it, and I'm walking around and nobody cared. I was out doing everything. The men didn't look at me any differently. The women didn't say anything. The kids didn't have a reaction. But in my head, I had all these thoughts about people were going to be staring at me. They may have thought maybe she has cancer. I don't know. But no one really responded or reacted. So for me, when I find that I'm having fewer and fewer days where it's a challenge for me not to go out, I try to focus more on what is it that I want to do.
Yes.
And if I wake up and if I'm feeling some kind of way, then it's like, okay, well, then this must be the day that I want to wear a short or a long or whatever. And I absolutely know in the winter, yes, my head is gold. There's going to be a whole lot of wigs happening in the winter.
Yes.
But right now it's hot. So it just depends. I went to dinner with some friends the other night, and I came in with the wig on, and halfway through, I'm like, I don't like this. I'm hot. It's been on too long now. And I took it off right there and put it in my purse. And they were like, oh my gosh. So there are photos with the wig and photos without, and that's just the way it is. And it's okay.
Yes.
My daughter's like, Mom, don't do that. I'm like, I'm doing what I want to do. If that's how I feel, that's what I'm gonna do. So I try to just own it. So that's the way I'm moving forward.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Reverend Kelli.
The most that happens to me, it's not so much the baldness on the head, although I have a little, I think it's called my discoloration. How about that? Here and here. And so those make me feel a little self-conscious. But because I've also lost my eyelashes and eyebrows, and because as my art teacher in the 6th grade told me I can't make a straight line, when I'm drawing on these eyebrows, every now and then I'll be on Zoom and I'll be looking so surprised. There is nothing surprising happening. And I'm like, well, I am always curious. So I guess, I just really have not learned. Unlike you, Carolyn, your makeup is on point and beautiful.
Lashes.
I was never one who did that. Well, they told me because I don't have any lashes that they can't put lashes on me because you have to have something.
I can help you with that.
So, you can help me with that. Okay,
yeah,
we'll talk
strips.
offline.
I can show you how to do that.
Thank you. And there is a place, and I wanted to say this. There's a man here in Washington, D.C., whose wife has alopecia. And he created a wig shop specifically for people with alopecia. The wigs are very expensive, but insurance will cover it if your doctor writes you a prescription. And it's called something prosthetic. Your doctor will know. Yeah. It is basically a prosthetic device for hair.
Yes.
Even if they just say alopecia, then you can turn it in for your healthcare spending account and get reimbursed.
Yeah. So people should know that. You
yes.
have the power. And when I went to get the wigs, like I went to look at wigs in New York. I've never been a wig person, but I was like, maybe I should give this a try. Why not? So I can have some variety. And they were falling off my head. There was nothing, there was not a sticking. So I said I was going to go to that guy, and I haven't done it just so that I have that as an option, but I've never worn a wig. Yeah. I just went directly from, I would wear some hair coverings like you talked about, to bald.
Yeah. You just need a wig cap.
Yes. Or wig grip. Yes. They were like a little band. Listen.
But make sure it's loose, because what I learned from wearing wigs for so many years, my band was too tight. So in the back, I have a little dent now from where the cap would be on. So just have a loose fitting one that's just enough where to hold the wig on.
Yeah. So to that point, and then I'm going to get to the question in the comments. When I was in during that time when I was like bound to my wigs, I would tie my wig cap extra tight. So I do have a dent right here in the front, and I don't know if you can see it, but so I have a dent right here, and that's part of what my anxiety is like. Oh, people go see this big dent. But that's also a lesson, right? How being bound to things can actually change you, right? You can damage yourself.
Yes. And you had to point it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So thank you for that. We have a question in the comment. What advice would you give to a young adult who was just diagnosed with alopecia?
I would say relax. And not relax because being nervous is going to make it worse, but relax because whatever happens, you can handle. I always say to people that you have handled everything that has happened in your life before this point. You have navigated it all, and something within you, that connection to God that you have that got you to this point, will get you through this point to the next point. So instead of being anxious, trust and be in a state of wonder, like, oh, what is this going to lead to? Don't allow yourself to go into fear or negative self-talk, because those energies are only going to defeat you. Set up your own intention statement. And it is my intention to stand as my true self in my authentic power, no matter what. And then when you have things that you can say to yourself, those things act as pillars. So when your will weakens, you have something that is holding you up beyond just your bare human will. And those intentions become a conversation between you and God. They are both a declaration and a request, and they hold you and allow you to stand tall against all, I don't even want to call it opposition, against all doubt and illusion.
Yeah. I think the advice that I would give is that you're not alone. I know you may feel like you are, and you're processing and you're going through and you're trying to understand, how you want to show up or how much you want to share, but just know you're not alone. So look for resources, reach out to others who have gone through that experience at a young age. Even just the other night, I was just Googling, and there were so many stories of young women who are currently wearing wigs and having to navigate through the journey, and there are support groups that are out there. So it's okay if you need to talk to someone, if you need to just have that encouragement. It's okay to do those things for you, the self-care, the self-love, until you feel comfortable with the condition, because we all have something, right? Everyone has something. This is just our thing, and it's okay. It's going to make you stronger, but just process it, do some research, and just truly know that you are not alone. Because I remember feeling like I was alone and that other women weren't doing this, and to just learn that there's such a huge community out there
Yes.
that can help you get through this.
Yes. Yes.
Reach out to me. I can help
Yes,
you.
yes, that's thank you both so much for joining me today. How can people reach you on social media? Carolyn and then Reverend Kelly.
Yeah, so for me, I'm all over LinkedIn, so it's just Carolyn Sims. So that's one way. I am on Instagram, so it's C Sims Living Life, and that is on purpose. C for Carolyn, but also to see Sims living her life on
Nice.
Instagram. And then I have a group page that I started that's really about paying it forward and supporting one another. And you can just search 1 Degree of Connections. And that's all about sharing resources and information. That's all it's about. And anyone can post and share anything that's positive on that site. And I do monitor it. So if there's anything negative going on there, I will delete it. But it's about supporting one another. Thank you.
No,
Could you
thank you.
name that site
Yes.
one more time?
Yeah, it's called 1 Degree of Connection. So instead of 6 degrees of connection, 1 degree of connection, because we're all connected. And so that's how my nickname of the connector came together, because it never failed. God uses me in this way where we're having this conversation today, and I guarantee someone's going to reach out or going to need something, and I may be connecting them to you. It's going to happen. So 1 Degree of Connections. If you just
And
search,
is that .com or .org or
no, it's a Facebook group
Facebook group.
page,
Okay.
Oh, okay,
LinkedIn
gotcha,
group page, and it's on Instagram
gotcha.
Okay.
and Twitter.
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to be posting all the links inside of the chat, so look out for that. Reverend Kelly, how can folk find you?
I am on all the social media under REVKELLI. You can find me that way on Facebook, both my personal page and my Reverend Kelly page. But really, go to my personal page. I don't do the Reverend Kelly page that much. If it looks like there are too many like reverendy things happening, you're on the wrong page. Get to the other page, and I always accept friend requests, so that's fine. Same thing on LinkedIn and Clubhouse, which is one of my favorite places. I'm going to be I already have my ministry. The Grow Continuum has a club there, and we're starting a new club called the Joy Work Club, which will support people in experiencing more joy at work. So I hope people they can find me there also. Oh, and my book itself has its own web page, iamatwork.info. And so that's a
Wonderful.
way to contact me.
Yes, wonderful. We gonna have you back individually, because I want to hear all about the work that you are doing, not only in corporate but in the public square. Definitely want to talk about your book and all of the wonderful things that you each are doing. So we will have you both back individually so that we can get a whole hour with you both. Thank you so much. Did you have something to add, Carolyn, before we
Yes, I
before we
was
go?
just going to say, so for Bloom Again Foundation, we have a couple of fundraisers that are coming up. One is to help women with financial literacy. And one of our board members, Rita Bukuzi, is going to be leading that. So that's next Saturday. I'll send the way. If you just go to bloomagain.org and click on events, you can learn information on that. We're really trying to help women understand the importance of financial literacy and to bring the kids so that the kids can start learning this now. And then we're doing a That's Entertainment event in October 30th. And that's always really fun. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, please join us.
Yes. And please send those things to me. I will post it. I will post it on, on across all of our Kara's social media channels as well, so we can help support the work that both of you are doing. Oh my gosh, this has just been so great. I wish we had more time. But again, we will have you both back. Thank you for your yes.
So, have you told people about the 988 line?
I did mention it. I think a couple shows back. But go ahead.
Okay.
Since
I always like to mention to people that they have this new 988 line. If you're having any sort of a mental issue, it's primarily focused on suicide prevention. Yes. But also, if you're just on the edge, that's a place you can call. It is very important to me that people take care of themselves in that way. So I always like to shout it out whenever I can.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, thank you both again. And we'll be speaking again soon.
All right, thank you. Right. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you, all of you who are watching, who have hung out with us this morning. Want to invite you again to connect, follow, like, and subscribe to Carolyn Solutions and all of our social media pages. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Carolyn Solutions LLC. We're at Carolyn Solutions on Twitter. And of course, you can always head over to our website at www.cara-solutions.com. Don't forget that hyphen in the middle so that you can find out all about Carolyn Solutions, all about Inspire, and everything that we do. Again, we want you to also follow us, so subscribe to us on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. We are at Inspired by Cara on all of those platforms. Again, Inspire Swag is here. You can also find that on Cara Solutions, cara-solutions.com website. And so we do ask you to support us by purchasing some swag. And if you do it right now, you do get 10% off. So go ahead and go to the website and purchase your swag. And you get 10% off from now through Sunday. And also, we want you to join us next week. Sabrina Pauly, founder of I Was 16 Yesterday, will be here with us to talk about her organization and the amazing work that she is doing with young adults in New York. So thank you all again for joining me, for joining us, for being in conversation. Listen, even at the end of this, when the broadcast has ended, we still want you to go ahead and share it. Share it with your friends and loved ones. Share it with someone who has alopecia, who is dealing with hair loss. I know that something said today, it will encourage them, will uplift them, will inspire them, and help them to kind of keep going, right? And make the journey or the adventure, as Reverend Kelli put it, a little easier to undertake. So until next week, we want you to stay uplifted. We want you to stay motivated, but most of all, we want you to stay inspired. God bless you all, and we'll see you next week.